YouTube is weird. Oh my god. Is it recording? Give me a second, guys. I've been having technical difficulties with this live. It's my first time going live on YouTube, so I've been trying to figure out how this works because I scheduled it, but for whatever reasons, YouTube wasn't letting me start the live that I scheduled. I don't know why. I don't know. It was telling me to put it into a streaming software, but I'm just like, aren't you supposed to just start the live? So what I ended up doing is I just decided to create a new live and say I'm gonna just start a new live because I'm confused as to why it wasn't allowing me to get live. But give me about another minute so that I can send this link to a couple people because I had to get a new link. So just give me a few minutes. Just a couple minutes. I don't know what's wrong with YouTube. They tripping. Still that. Yup. Yikes. Give me a second. Because I have no idea. Dun. 1 second. And I will get started on this live. All right, guys, welcome back to my channel. This chair. For those of you who don't know, let me go up. Okay. See you. Okay. It's hot. I should have turned on the AC, but now I'm lazy to go turn it on. But hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Yanika. I am so sorry again for the delay. I'm trying to figure out this live stuff. I'm trying to go live like twice a month or so. I'm not big on lives like that, but people are telling me I should start going live. So I said, okay, I'm gonna try to do that for videos where I'm having a sit down sort of discussion. I think it makes a lot of sense to go live on these type of discussions. I know I've had a couple interviews over the past couple weeks. I've been like just interviewing people on different topics, and I think those discussions are better for lives versus just my regular vlogs where I pre-record. And so today I wanted to talk about the Roe versus Wade situation. As you've seen all over social media, all over the news, all over the media, everywhere, everyone's talking about Roe versus Wade, abortion rights, women rights, human rights, everything. Like, people have just been going crazy on the internet. And I believe it was what? Yes, no, was it Friday that Roe versus Wade was overturned? And Roe versus Wade was a Supreme Court ruling back in 1973, where they basically said that it's, within the some type of constitutional right, or within whatever rights, that women should be able to have an abortion if they want to, essentially. There's a lot within that law. It was started because this white lady in Texas, back in 1971, I believe it was, she couldn't have an abortion. She was on her third child or something, and it was illegal to have abortions in Texas. And so they went to court for this. And this is how the whole Roe versus Wade came into play, which the Supreme Court voted on, and said basically women would be able to have an abortion if they wanted to. And states essentially wouldn't be able to make rules against abortion. So let me put it that way. I don't want to misquote anything. And so for the past, I think it's the past couple weeks, there's been talks about it since it came up, and they were trying to overturn it. And they finally did on Friday, where the Supreme Court voted, I believe it was 5-4 against it. There's a total of a total of 9 Supreme Court justices in the United States. And for those, I know I have a lot of island people who do watch my videos. So for those who watching, the Supreme Court is the highest court in the US. You can have certain cases at the lower levels, on local level. If it doesn't if you want to appeal it, you can go to the state level. If you want to appeal it, you can bring it to the federal Supreme Court, whatever, right? They have different courts in the United States, and there's basically levels to it. And basically, the Supreme Court is the highest court that you can go. There's 9 justices. They're very old. I was looking up some of their ages. I think one of them is like 90 years old. I'm like, ain't you supposed to be retired at 90? But nonetheless, it's 9 of them, 1 black man, 6 white men, and like 2 women, I believe it is. And they voted 5-4. Actually, the 2 women were a part of the vote to go against overturning it. So the woman, basically, they understand women's body, so of course they would align with women, right? But the majority men voted against, voted to overturn it, I should say. And now here we are. So I wanted to talk about it because, I had some people message me about it, and I didn't really want to make a status because I feel like there's times I just make statuses on Facebook, and I feel like, okay, I'm just trying to say a point or whatever, and I'm not really trying to argue about it. And people are always trying to argue, and it's just like, I'm not gonna argue about my own personal opinion. So I didn't want to do that today. I didn't want to have a situation when to make a post about the whole Roe versus Wade thing, and people start trying to like go back and forth about it on a status, because I feel like a lot of times stuff get like how do I put it? People misunderstand things a lot when you make a message versus like if you just talk about it. Now, as far as abortions go and everything, like, I'm personally against abortions for myself. I've never had an abortion. I've never taken a plan B. I've never even been on birth control. Quite honestly, I've not had sex most of my life, so I've not needed to. I had unprotected sex one time, and thankfully, I didn't become pregnant from the situation, but I learned my lesson. And most of my life, and even most of my 20s, like I've been celibate, and so I've not ever needed to have an abortion. So when I saw the Roe versus Wade thing initially, like when I saw it a couple weeks ago, actually, I was just like, why are people so outraged about this Roe versus Wade thing? So I started looking into it because I'm just like, I wasn't, let me put it, I wasn't quite understanding like why some people are so outraged. I'm like, are people like just having abortion so often, like that this is such a big deal, But then I started researching it myself and everything. And I'm just like, well, you know what? It does make sense that a lot of people would be outraged because, I remember in high school, I was a unicorn. I was a virgin all through high school. I didn't lose my virginity until I got to college. And a lot of people were on birth control. A lot of people were having sex in high school. And there's a lot of people who ended up having abortions and stuff like that in high school. I was just kind of there because I went to a high school that was a little bit rough in Philly, and for most of my high school years. And then I ended up spending 1 year in high school in Florida, and everybody there was also having sex. And I'm this like virgin, and I'm looking around like, why is everybody having sex? Like, I was confused. But I think a lot of why I had my views on sex is because I was the youngest of my siblings, and just seeing what other people went through, I was always observing everybody, and I was just like, I don't want to get pregnant, so I'm not gonna have sex. So that's what I did through high school. But I remember my eighth grade graduation, and there was a girl at my eighth grade graduation. She was pregnant, 14 years old, huge belly. You know what I'm saying? So it's like in cases like those, I kind of understand abortion because do you want, if you're a parent, would you want your 14-year-old child having a child? You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of why some women are outraged about the whole abortion stuff and it being overturned is the fact that some of them had to possibly had abortions in their younger days and stuff like that. Again, I'm not for abortions for myself, but me being a woman, it's like I understand why women would have abortions. Even though I wouldn't do it, I can't tell another woman not to do that. I've had over the years several people tell me they were thinking of abortion or this, that, and the third, and stuff like that. And I'm always telling them, like, the decision is yours, whatever, whatever. Like, I'm not here to tell anyone what they should do with their own bodies. So the fact that you have these 5 men voting on telling women that basically now we're going to overturn this rule so that the states can decide whether or not you can basically decide if you want to have a child or not is crazy to me, because I don't think men should have a vote in that, because men have no idea what goes on in our bodies. When I was a teenager, I used to have really bad period cramps. And I remember thinking one time, like, it was so bad. I was at school, I went to the bathroom, I was vomiting, I was pooping, I was in pain, I was in so much pain. Like, I was basically experiencing what some women go through when they're pregnant. And I was just on my period. And I remember thinking, like, I don't even know if I want to have kids, if this is the pain I have to go through. So when I'm seeing that some women don't want kids and stuff like that, I'm just like, they have every right to, because why should they? Hi Ian. Where'd he go? Ian had some opinions on this, so I'll be interested to see what he has to say about this because I don't agree with some of his opinions. I mean, he is a Christian, so I understand, but at the same time, I don't understand it. Anyways, the point I was getting at is I don't think men should have a vote on whether or not women should have abortions. Because just from me seeing women over the years go through abortions, there's several reasons that women have abortions. Like sometimes it's not really about, oh, they just want to kill a child. Like a lot of women are not just out here trying to kill a child. I'm not going to say there is a small percentage that are like that where they are out here being reckless and they use abortion as a birth control. But the thing I would say to that is, okay, if these irresponsible people are using abortion as a birth control, do you really want them to have a kid? Like, what are they gonna do to the kid if they're out here being so reckless? Like, you think they're not gonna be reckless with the kids? I mean, there's a lot of men and women who have children who never wanted children. And oftentimes, that's why you see them abuse the kids. That's why you see them neglect the kids. And we complain about that. But, like, maybe if they could have aborted those kids, well, the fetuses, I wouldn't call it a kid when it's in the belly, it's really a fetus. Um, then maybe those kids wouldn't be suffering, you know? Ian, did you want to come on? Is that Ian? I don't know how this thing works. Horrible, right? I have no idea how this thing works. I'm horrible at live streams. That's why I don't do these. I don't know if that's Ian or not. I can't really tell. But yeah, like I was thinking, like people are mad saying people are reckless and they should use more protection and stuff like that. But if they're so reckless while not having kids, do you really think that they're all of a sudden gonna become responsible when they have kids? Probably not. They're probably not gonna be any better once they have kids. But I did want to hit on a few things about why women have abortion. So at least so some men can at least understand from like women's perspective where it comes from. And then just so that people can understand why overturning this rule is so bad. So I had made just a few notes. Yeah, so I had just basically made notes that um most women who have abortions are not like necessarily bad people. Let me put it that way, right? They're not bad people. They're not trying to kill a whole child. Most time they have the abortion is within the first trimester, which most times some people say that's okay since I think in the first like 4 weeks or so the fetus doesn't have an heartbeat or whatever, so technically it's not breathing, if that makes sense. Personally, I don't really think it's an actual child until it's actually out of your stomach, because while it's in there, everything about its survival depend on the woman. Like there's few cases where if the woman dies, they can sometimes still save the fetus. But oftentimes it dies as well. So it's hard to say whether it's an actual child when it's in your stomach. Like to me, it's like I wouldn't be able to abort it, but like I could understand why people would think like it's not an actual child. because even when you look at the tax laws and insurance laws, it's like you can't put life insurance on an unborn fetus. You can't file taxes for an unborn fetus. Like the child would have to be born in that year for you to be able to file taxes for it. You know, for you to get life insurance on it, you would have to, like, it would have to come out of your stomach. So a lot of those laws will have to be revisited in order to say whether or not it's actually a real child. And I think with the Roe versus Wade thing, they've been battling this stuff since, you know, almost 50 years. So, and I think they're going to continue to battle it. I feel like with politicians and stuff, they always come up with something to keep the battle going because it keeps people focused on that battle versus on other bigger issues. And I'm not saying abortions aren't a big issue, but like there's probably other bigger issues in the world. And right now, everyone's like super focused on these abortions. But why most women, at least from me knowing women over the years, me being a woman myself, I've observed and seen and have learned why most of them have abortions, for men who might not understand. Um, there's a lot of women, whether society, whether people want to believe it or not, whether men want to believe it or not, there's a lot of women who don't like kids and they don't want kids, you know, and or I should say they don't want kids, because some people like kids but they don't want kids, but some people don't like kids and they don't want any, which is why they abort. Like they don't want to deal with a kid, they don't want the responsibility of a kid. I mean, we all know kids are pricey, they require a lot of time and attention and a lot of energy, and not everybody like want to go through that, not everybody want to deal with that. You know, and I'm speaking as someone who loves kids, who always talks about wanting plenty of kids, but I 100% understand like why someone wouldn't want one, because like you have to really be a lover of kids to truly like enjoy having a child, to truly want to like go above and beyond for a child. So that's one of the biggest reasons why some women have abortions. Some people are not yet ready or prepared for kids. I know the one time I ever had unprotected sex, I wasn't ready to have a kid. Luckily, though, I didn't get pregnant. If I did get pregnant, I would have had the child, but like I wasn't. So praisefully, I was praying to God, y'all, but I wasn't, and so but I wasn't prepared to have one at that point in time. So I was happy that I wasn't. But some women do end up getting pregnant and then they realize like they're really not prepared for this, whether it's financially, mentally, emotionally, whatever. They just not really ready to do it. Maybe they are married, but the couple isn't even ready yet. So they might abort. If you're a 20-year-old couple pregnant with a child, you might not want to have a child that young when you're still growing and learning and stuff like that. So that's another big reason why people have abortions. um, and I think it's both those reasons are pretty valid to have abortions, because it's just like, why would you want someone to be raising a child if they don't even like kids? And then why would you want someone to have a kid when they're not actually like prepared for it? You know what I'm saying? So to me it's like totally understandable. Even though again I wouldn't do it, so I'm speaking from a place where I personally wouldn't have an abortion, but like I understand why people do it, if that makes sense. um, Another reason was some people were raped, and honestly this is probably like the only case where I would probably have an I no, I would definitely have an abortion. I don't want a rapist baby, right? So if someone was raped, they might not want to have a rapist baby. There's some people that go through it and put the kid up for adoption, or they keep the kid, whatever. Personally, if I was a result of rape, I would rather my mom to like abort me. That's just me. I wouldn't know how to live knowing that I was a result of rape. Like, I would feel horrible. So I wouldn't want to bring a child into the world knowing that that's how they came about. Like, when the child asks you how they came about, that's just a sucky thing to tell a kid. Like, you weren't even, like, and that would be a, like, almost a constant reminder of the rape. And me going through that trauma myself, not the pregnant part, but going through like a rape trauma myself, I wouldn't have had a kid if I had gotten pregnant through rape. I wouldn't. I wouldn't want that constant reminder. I wouldn't want to do that to a child, and so I think women are totally justified to abort rape babies. Um, that's just not rape babies, but rape fetuses. Let me put it that way, because I don't think it's actually a real baby until it's actually, well, maybe until it can has a heartbeat. Let me put it that way. I'll say, okay, when it has a heartbeat, it it's a more viable fetus. But I really feel like it's really becomes a real child when it's like actually here. Let me put it that way. Another reason some people have abortions is because they don't know who the father is. I think this happens very often because we live in a world now where a lot of people are very promiscuous. And I'm not here to tell people what to do. I've always been of the mindset that people should try to have sex with one person at a time. That way, if you get pregnant, you know who you're pregnant for. But I'm aware that people don't do that. People be out here, not people, let me say, there are women out here who are having sex with multiple men at the same time. And sometimes that results in a pregnancy. They don't know who the father is. So they rather to have an abortion than trying to figure that out. Whether they're justified or not is not on me to say. So that's another reason. Another reason is um, we have to be honest that some women don't have proper, excuse my French, but they don't have proper pussy management. Let me put it that way. They don't. And, you know, how do I put it? I don't want, I try sometimes not to offend people, but you have to manage your vaginas better. You can't be out here having sex with bums and dudes that are potential deadbeats. And so sometimes a woman within the first trimester, she knows that this man is about to be a deadbeat. So she rathers to abort the child than have the child for a deadbeat. Again, I'm not here to say whether it's right or wrong, but I understand. I understand not wanting to have a kid for a deadbeat. But I think also we do have to like have proper vagina management and not be out here having sex with bums. But at the end of the day, I can't tell people what to do. So if a person want to abort a child because they know that the dad is going to be a deadbeat, I can't tell them not to do it because there's already too many deadbeats out here as it is. So it is what it is. And one of the last reasons women typically have abortions is because the father asked them or threatened them to have the abortions. I've actually known of several situations where this happened. And this goes back to proper, excuse my French, pussy management. You can't be out here having sex with anybody. And, sometimes some women have sex with a man and then she ends up pregnant and he starts threatening her to have an abortion. There are cases where they put out hits on her if she doesn't have the abortion. So some women were actually scared into having abortions. And I listed all those reasons to say that what we're going to see is a whole lot of kids who end up being neglected, abused, ended up in the system. There's already like 500,000 kids in the foster care system, right? That number is about to be much higher because a lot of these pro-lifer people, they're all so much about the fetus that's in the belly, but they do nothing for the kids that's in foster care. So we're going to see a lot more of that if a lot more states start enacting abortion rules. We're gonna see a lot of that. We're gonna see a lot of kids being thrown away. They do this. Actually, I've seen a lot of news stories in Jamaica where they throw the kids in dumpsters. They carry them for the whole term, birth the baby, and put it in a dumpster. You know what I'm saying? So this is really what overturning this rule is asking for. Like, we're gonna see a lot more kids showing up in dumpsters. We're gonna see a lot more men on child support. Those men that I was talking about that these women knew are gonna be deadbeats. Now they can't tell the woman to have an abortion anymore. In states where the abortion laws are gonna change more than likely, and the men who typically used to threaten a woman to have abortion, now those men won't be able to threaten those women anymore. They're gonna straight out kill these women to have abortions. So we're heading down a very rocky place. I put it that way. We're heading down a very, very rocky place with that law because I was reading a couple of news articles, and some of the states, like I believe it's Texas, Tennessee, Missouri, a lot of those Republican type states, and for my people who are from the islands watching, Republicans are the more conservative people in America, and Democrats are the more liberal and free people in America. Whatever. I don't care for either side, but just for explanation purposes of what Republican and Democrats are. So the more conservative states they had trigger laws. So whenever Roe versus Wade got overturned, these trigger laws were put into place where they basically stopped abortions throughout the state. So people could have had an abortion scheduled for tomorrow and it was canceled because of those trigger laws they had in place for whenever Roe versus Wade got overturned. So we're just gonna see a lot of craziness coming up. Sorry. We're gonna see a lot of craziness coming up with this whole overturn. I will say though, for the liberal states, like I live in California, it's very liberal out here, almost too liberal for my liking. But I don't think abortion laws would ever they'd start banning abortions here. I don't see it happening, but I'll never say never, so you never know. I mean, if abortions was banned in all 50 states, I mean, the US would kind of become like China, where you have to put restrictions on how many kids a person could have. And I think it would be a hot mess because a lot of people are just really not fitted to be parents. They're not. They know it. That's why they have abortions. So, from what I've seen over the years, most of the people I've seen who had abortions had it when they were younger. I don't see a lot of women like over 25 having abortions. It's usually like teenagers in high school and people in college that I've mostly seen have abortions. um I've seen when people get threatened by the dad to have abortions, and it's very rare cases I've seen people get raped and have abortions. It's very rare cases that I've seen that. Typically, when someone gets raped, they end up just taking a Plan B, and so they wouldn't get pregnant, basically. So they typically don't end up pregnant from a rape a lot of times. Um, but another thing that I was reading that started to happen too is they want to visit laws on contraceptions. So I saw a lot of people trying to make rebuttals saying, okay, well, people should now start to be more safe with sex and, use contraceptions or whatever. Number one, not all women can take birth control or agree with birth control. Personally, as a woman, I've never taken birth control. I've never needed to. I've always had proper vagina management, and I've always not. Ooh, I've always let's see. I've always abstained as well. I abstained a lot from sex. I'm not a virgin, but I abstained a lot. Um, Sorry, guys. Damn, how do I mute that? Yeah, so I've always abstained from sex, or the few times I did have sex, in my 20s, I've probably had sex less than 20 times, to be honest. So I've not needed, and it's except one time, it's always been protected. So I try not to be reckless when it comes to those things. And I mean, even the one time I did it unprotected, had I gotten pregnant, I mean, I thought he would be a good dad. I thought we would probably co-parent well. So whether it worked out or not. So I've always been very cautious of those things when choosing sexual partners. But we live in the real world, and most people just they be out here like they just be most people are not responsible. Let me put it that way. They're just not. We have to live in reality. Like, you cannot just tell people to take contraceptions and tell them to be safe. Like, people are responsible like that. I'm a responsible person. And even I have had my one slip up. You know what I'm saying? So imagine most other people who are definitely not. I know people, I don't know anyone quite as responsible as me. I'm being dead ass. Like, I don't know anyone who is, well, I'm no longer sexual active, but people who are sexually active, I don't know that they're as responsible as me. So if I can have a slip up, I know they can. And I don't believe in birth control, but also some people are just not able to take birth control. Some people are actually allergic to a lot of condoms. So that's also there. I mean, that's not that normal, but like, it's possible. So to tell people they should just try to be safer, I mean, I agree with it. You should protect your vagina, protect your penises, but we have to like live in the real world and know that most people are not going to do that. So we're going to see a lot of irresponsible people having kids. I mean, they already do it. That's why you see dudes, 5 baby mamas that they can't take care of, women, 5 baby daddies that all over the place. You know what I'm saying? So like, you're gonna see a lot more of that, I think, if more states like especially the liberal states, if they start to if they start to enact laws to get rid of abortions, good luck, America. I mean, it won't really affect me personally, but like, pray for these kids, because I mean, people think that you're sticking it to women by doing this, but really what you're doing is sticking it to kids. I was reading one comments, and the guy, I tried not to go back and forth about this stuff on social media because I don't have time for it. But this one guy, he said something really eye-opening. He said, "Don't be surprised when there's more kids being trafficked, sexually." I was like, that's a good ass point. Like, that's a good ass point. Like, that's what's gonna end up happening with all these kids are gonna end up in the system. What else do you think is gonna happen to them other than being trafficked? You know what I'm saying? So I don't think people are thinking on that level when they're thinking about this law. They're just thinking, oh, well, people can't be reckless anymore. No, they're still going to be reckless. They're either going to find other ways to have abortions, or they're going to have the kid and not care for the kid. The kid goes in the system, and then we have a whole other issue on our hands. So it's like the issues never end. I think it sucks. It sucks because it really sucks for the kids more than anything else. To me, I think it makes more sense to abort a child when they are not yet born versus waiting for them to, where did they go? Versus waiting for them to be born and then treating them badly. That's just my personal opinion um, on the issue. I think though with the Roe versus Wade, why did I? Sorry. I was trying to send a message and I'm acting silly, but I think the bigger issue with Roe versus Wade that bother me is not just that people like feel like they can tell women what to do with their bodies. It's just, what other laws are they going to overturn? Because remember that, or ruling, because Roe versus law was really a ruling or whatever. But anyways, what other rulings or laws are they going to overturn? Because remember, like, they had to go to court to make interracial marriages a thing. They had to put laws in place to make gay marriages a thing. And whether you're for or against those things, it's just like, do you have the right to tell people what they should do with their body or who they should love? Or do you have that right? You know what I mean? And I know a lot of like super Christians, will say one thing, you will go by whatever God said, but it's just like, God also said not to judge people. So it's just like, where do you like draw the line? You know what I'm saying? On when you're being judgmental or not, and who are you to tell people what they should do with their own bodies? And one of the funny things I see with the Roe versus Wade stuff, just from certain people, is some of the same people who were very pro-vaccine. I didn't take the vaccine, but there was a lot of people who were very pro vaccine. I remember one dude got mad at me because I said I'm not taking the vaccine because I'm healthy and I don't see the need to put that in my body because I don't know what the vaccine is going to do. He's like, "Oh, it's people like you that da 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 da." And I'm like, okay, how is me not taking the vaccine gonna affect you? I'm not out here running around with COVID. I get tested and everything. and that same person is now talking about women should have a choice. So I'm like, okay, so women should have a choice to carry a baby, but I shouldn't have a choice to put a vaccine in my body. You know what I'm saying? Like, so people have been contradicting themselves. And it's the same thing with the pro-lifers. A lot of the pro-lifers are very anti-vaccine. They were very anti-vaccine. They were like, it's my body. You can't tell me what to put in it. But when they start talking about pro-life stuff, they're very much like, oh, women should carry the baby and this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, who are you to tell people what they should do if you are the same type of people who are saying that people shouldn't tell you to put a vaccine in your body, but now you're telling women that they must carry this baby that they don't want. You know what I'm saying? So both sides, like the liberals and the conservatives, are pretty much like, they're pretty much all contradicting themselves, and I'm just kind of looking like, these motherfuckers are crazy. I think a lot of people in America are confused and crazy, and they don't even realize that they're contradicting themselves a lot of the times, because I'm just like, you cannot be pro-life but anti-vaccine, same as you cannot be pro-choice but pro-vaccine. Like, because it's like, it doesn't add up. Like, you can't tell people they must put a vaccine in their body, but then you're telling people the child shouldn't, they shouldn't go, they have the choice on whether or not they want to get rid of their fetus. It's just, it's weird. It's weird how they are. It's weird how people who are far left and far right, like, sometimes I'm just looking at certain news stuff and certain social media stuff, and I'm just looking like, am I the only sane person, or is everyone sane and I'm crazy? Like, or is everybody crazy and I'm sane? Because I'm just looking like, people don't be making any type of sense. You know what I'm saying? But that's pretty much where we're at with that. Um, Another thing was, like, some people were talking about how if they can overturn Roe versus Wade, they can overturn slavery and we can become slaves again. I had to laugh at that one, because I'm like, not over my dead, they'd have to kill me before I become a slave. But it's actually a true thought process. Like, if they can overturn something to tell a woman, you're telling me as a woman, right? If I have sex and whatever reason, a little ball of fetus or whatever plants in my belly, I have to let this fetus, before it even has a heartbeat, I have to let it grow out in my body all the way until it becomes a human being. And then I have the option to, I guess, keep it or put it up for abortion, not adoption. I'm sorry. You're telling me I have to do that. That's a form of slavery in a sense. You're forcing me to do something I don't want to do with my own body. Like, that is a form of slavery when you think about it. So if they can overturn something like this, like, who's to say they can't say, well, if your skin color is X, Y, and Z, then you're now gonna be working for free, or some shit like that. I don't necessarily think that would happen in my lifetime. I think that my generation is too rebellious for that to happen. They would fight to death, but the possibility is there, and if it does happen, there will be an all-out civil war, because I know I sure as hell am not gonna be nobody's slave. I'm not gonna be working for these people for free. I'm not doing none of that. So that's something to really consider. Like, some people are just looking at it as, one small law, but if they can overturn something like this, and me being a woman, and I've not yet had a child, but just how my body feels when I'm going through menstruation, for example, right? Your body is different. It's changing your body. Your body starts doing things outside of your control. And so I imagine for women going through pregnancies, and I've talked to pregnant women, and they can literally feel their body changing. They feel their emotions changing, their mental state changing. Physically they're changing. They're gaining weight or whatever. Like, all these things a woman has to go through, and they're essentially being forced to do that now. So it is a form of slavery. I'll put it that way. To tell someone they have to have a child, it's a form of slavery. I don't care, what type of religion you follow, whether you're religious or not, whatever the case may be. Forcing someone to have a child is low-key slavery, because you're forcing them to have their body go through something that's not normal. Um and and granted, they don't have to keep the child while it's born, but it doesn't change the fact that for 9 to 10 months they're going through a transformation where they're even gonna have to be off work during this transformation. Like, usually in the later parts of your pregnancies, you can't really work or do anything because you don't want to stress yourself. That's how some women end up having miscarriages, is when they overwork themselves while they're pregnant. So when you're forcing them to go through this, they might miscarry, or like, you're forcing women to go through something that they don't want to do. And I think that it's a very, very dangerous place to go. I don't know um what else is gonna come after this. I'm curious to see what they come up with after this, because I'm almost certain there's gonna be additional things that they want to overturn. I'm almost certain. See, I just saw something, a message where someone's saying people don't want to use condoms. And I think that's true. There's a lot of people who don't want to use condoms. I've definitely had conversations with people, and they much prefer not to use condoms, because I guess you don't feel the full sensation of sex. um so it's understandable that they would want to feel the full pleasure, but as we know, those pleasures can sometimes come with consequences that oftentimes people don't want. And now, if let's say every state was to start having abortion laws and such, um these persons would have to go through with this pregnancy. They'd have to go through and have these kids. um Sorry. It's a scary place to be, but yeah, people definitely don't want to use condoms. A lot of times, a lot of people who are sexually active don't want to use condoms. um and another rebuttal to the whole Roe versus Wade thing is, some people are saying people just shouldn't have sex if they don't want to have a kid. But would you say the same thing to people who cannot have children? Because there are men who are sterile, there are women who are, I guess, sterile, barren, whatever you want to call it, as well. So there's men and women out there who can't have kids. So should they no longer be able to, should they also not have sex? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then another rebuttal was for people to like wait till marriage to have sex, but it's just like, why? Let me put it this way. Why? You know, we've all come to the conclusion that unless you're super religious, like a super Christian and such, um, you know, which a lot of people have gone away from religion a lot of times because, as you can see through this whole thing, a lot of these Christians are super judgmental. They act like they've never done nothing wrong a day in their lives. But a lot of people went away from religion. And, you know, some people might say that's why the world is going the way it's going. But maybe if religion wasn't so crazy judgmental while also doing bad things, because a lot of those super religious people be doing bad things, they just don't be getting caught by us. They get caught by God but not by us, so they think that they have the right to tell other people what they should do, and what things they should follow, because there's people using Christianity as a way to say, you know, people shouldn't be aborting kids, but these same people are having sex. So doesn't Christianity also say don't have sex outside of wedlock? And these people be having sex out of wedlock. So it's like, how are you going to tell people not to have an abortion, but at the same time, you're out here having sex out of wedlock? Like, make it make sense. And then they wonder why some people like run away from the church, because y'all are hypocritical, as, you know what I'm saying, like they're so hypocritical, but they want people to like follow their religion. Like, why would anyone want to follow that? You know, there's people out here who have sex for their own pleasure. The repercussions shouldn't be a whole child, and I'm not saying people shouldn't be aware of the consequences. You know, if you are able to have kids, um there are consequences to having sex, obviously, right? But if people can abort the mission before, let's say, the fetus even has a heartbeat, who are you to tell them they shouldn't? You know, like if the fetus, let's say, doesn't have a heartbeat yet, personally, I don't see the big deal, even though I wouldn't do it, because for me, I don't know, I don't think I'd be able to live with an abortion. I think I would go crazy if I had an abortion. So I don't think I could do it if it wasn't like through a rape or something. Like, I don't think I could have did it. But I understand why people do it, and I can't say that, you know, just because they have sex, they should be punished by having a child, because I feel like the only person that's gonna suffer in that situation really is the child, because they're gonna have a parent who didn't want them, or they're gonna end up in the foster care system, or maybe the parent does take them and raise them or whatever, but they might get neglected. They might not get the true love that they would have gotten from a parent that actually wanted them. So um, I just don't think we should be telling people what they should do sexually and stuff of that nature. Like, you know, I might say on here like, yeah, women, have proper pussy management. Fellas, manage your dicks. You know, excuse my French, but sometimes you gotta like, you gotta just say it in the real way for people to get it. But have some management on your stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, have management. Make sure that if you're having sex with someone, make sure that you're comfortable getting pregnant for them. Like, when I went celibate at 21, it was one night I was tipsy, and my ex, which was like the person I lost my virginity to, he showed up, and he tried to have unprotected sex with me. And I was like, are you crazy? In my tipsy state, I was like, we are not having unprotected sex. I remember after that night, I went celibate. I was celibate for 6 years until it was taken without my consent. So um the big reason for me going celibate was me after that night realizing like I would have never wanted his kid, which is why I was looking at him crazy for going unprotected on me, because I was like, what are you doing? Like, because he knew I don't take birth control. We had always had protected sex, so when he tried that, I looked at him crazy. And then the next day I was thinking about it and I was just like, I don't want to have his kid. So what am I doing? Like, I shouldn't be having sex if I don't want to have his kid. And I'm not saying that he wouldn't have been able to like be a decent father, but I didn't want him fathering my kids. I think that's what made things click in my head, that you know, I shouldn't be having sex unless I'm sure like this person is gonna be someone I would want fathering my children. And with this particular person, I didn't see that with him. and and not like, you know, I don't think he would have been a deadbeat or anything like that, because I don't mess with bums. But I didn't want him fathering my kids, and thankfully um I was aware enough that, you know, I didn't let nothing too crazy happen. But the point of that story is just that I learned a lesson that night in just making sure I'm not out here having sex with people that I don't want to father my children. When I, you know, the when I did have the unprotected sex, after my celibacy was taken, and I had unprotected sex the one time, I was pretty sure he would have made a great father if that happened. I thought he could have made a decent husband at the time, but I for sure know that I think I would be okay with that particular person fathering my children. Um, I trust my spirit a lot, and my spirit told me that he would have been okay. So I think that's what I mean by having proper vagina and penis management, is just making sure that whoever you're having sex with, you are okay with having a child for them. Um, Now, if you want to be out here freely having sex, unprotected, whatever, tie your tubes if possible, and get a vasectomy, right? Now, the issue that comes up with tying your tubes is a lot of times, like for a woman like me, I'm in my later 20s. I don't have any children. I'm unmarried. They wouldn't let me have a tie tube. They wouldn't let me tie my tube if I wanted to. I mean, I don't want to, but if I tried to tie my tube, they wouldn't let you do it. I think for a lot of women, it's like if you're under 40 and you don't have at least 2 kids. Sorry, guys. If you're under 40 and you don't have at least 2 kids, as a woman, they won't let you tie your tubes. I mean, it's the craziest thing ever. Like, this is how they love to control women and force women to have kids. Like, I don't know what makes men think that every woman want to be a mother, but every woman does not want to be a mother. If you really go around women, there's a lot of women who do not care to be a mother, they do not care to be a wife, and they shouldn't be. Why? Because oftentimes when you force those women into those things, they treat the husbands badly, or they treat the children badly, or both. So I don't think women should be forced into those things, but that's how the laws are set up. Like, you can't even have a tie your tubes if you want to. So for the people telling people go tie their tubes or don't have sex or whatever, that's just you trying to control these person's body. And it's not on you to tell a person who they should have sex with, what they should do with their body, that they should carry a child, that they should, whatever. Like, it's not on you to tell a person what they could do. I might not agree with abortions and stuff like that, but if someone came to me and said, I want to go have an abortion, or I want to go tie my tubes, or I want to go have a vasectomy, it's not on me to tell them that they shouldn't do it. Like, I'm just going to be like, you know, do whatever is best for you. Like, that would have been my answer, because whether or not I would do something, I cannot tell another person what they should do, because once that kid comes, I'm not the one that's going to be responsible for the kids. They're the one responsible for the kids. So I can't tell them what decisions to make when it comes to those things. So um, I think all the people trying to like tell people what they should do with their bodies should really do like an inner look on themselves as to why they feel the need to control another person's body. Actually, LeBron actually made a LeBron made a retweet to something, and I want to pull it up really quick. He made a retweet to something. One second. Let me pull it up. One second, guys. Sorry. He made a retweet to something. And let me just read it, right? Just so that y'all can get an idea of where we're at. So this lady made a tweet and she said, if this was about babies, there would be universal health care, free education, free daycare. Southern states would be doing all they can to drop the Black maternal mortality rate. Ooh, that's something I should have spoke about. And that this is about power and control. And then LeBron retweeted that it's absolutely about power and control. And that's very true. I think that it's all about power and control. It's all about um it's all about what, I don't know how to get you to add it on this. I need to figure out this thing. Does it allow you to request to join? I'm sorry, guys. Or can you hear me? I hope I haven't been talking on this thing and no one could hear me. There's been people coming in and out, but I don't know if it allows. Man, I need to figure out this live stream stuff. This is my first time doing live stream on YouTube, you guys. So bear with me. It was messy when I tried it on Facebook as well. But while I try to figure this out, like I said, with the LeBron tweet, it is definitely all about power and control. I think that we don't really know why the politicians do certain things, but there's always a reason. Like, they don't ever just do something just to do it. Like, there's always a reason why they're doing something, and unless you're in those rooms and deeply connected in that way, you're not ever gonna really know why they're doing certain things. We can guess, but I don't really want to guess on those things. But there's definitely, my thoughts on the power and control reasons why they're doing this. And the girl that made the original tweet when she spoke about the Black mortality rate, yeah, I believe Black women are like 4 times as likely to die in childbirth than white women. And that should tell you a lot already. It's nothing about us necessarily that makes us less capable of having children. It's just that we're less cared for. And that's why I never put none of those pills in my body. I don't take no type of pill. Like, I never really get sick anyways, but if I have a headache, the most I'll do is take a Tylenol or something. But like when it comes to birth control, any type of pill doctors want to give you, pain med stuff, like, anything outside of Tylenol and Advil, I'm not taking. Like, and I'm even when it comes to Tylenol and Advil, I don't think I've taken a Tylenol in months. Because I'm just very particular about pills. I eat pretty healthy. I eat my fruits. I eat my veggies. I mostly eat cooked food. Um, I try not to eat fast food unless like it's a desperate type of day or something. But those type of things can help you in your health. And I don't think a lot of women, especially Black women, realize this. Like, we can't just be out here listening to some of these doctors, because number one, like, they don't care enough. Like, it's just the truth. They don't care enough about us for us to just be out here like taking whatever pills they give us. Like, make sure that if you are going to take any type of pill, including birth control pills or plan B's or anything, honestly, I wish Black women would just stop. Like, and the parents started it. Let me put it this way. Parents started it with the birth control and the plan B's and whatever. They started putting their kids on birth control in high school. Because remember, I was saying earlier in the video, I had a lot of cramps when I was in high school from periods. But I'm very thankful that my mother never thought to put me on birth control, because some parents were putting their kids on birth control to stop the period cramps, right? And as I got older, I started doing my own research as to why I had those like really bad period cramps. And it was basically, I came across something that said, if you eat super unhealthy, right, that can cause you to have really bad period cramps. So what I ended up doing was I try to make sure I eat as healthy as possible. And honestly, like, I very rarely ever get a bad period cramp. Like, I don't have to go through super bad period cramps anymore. That I was going through as a teenager. But as a teenager, I ate a lot of junk. So it made a lot of sense why my cramps were so bad. Now, I'm not going to say this happens with all women. Like, all of our bodies are different. So your body might react different to different things. But my body, particularly, if I eat a bunch of junk, it makes my period cramps bad. If I don't, then I barely feel anything. That's what has happened with my body personally. I can always tell, like, if I ate properly in a month by how my period goes. And I keep track of stuff like that. So I'm always able to tell. But yeah, I think Black women especially need to get off birth control, and they need to stop with the plan B, is stop having unprotected sex if you don't want to get pregnant for a particular person. Or, I mean, it might be difficult if you don't have several kids already, but try to get your tubes tied up if you really just don't want to have kids. But I think birth control damages a lot of Black women. I think it damages us badly. Um, and I say this because I've just heard so many horror stories about birth control. It's like there was a point in college where I thought to go on it just so that I wouldn't have bad period cramps. Because in college, I was also eating badly. So I was still getting bad period cramps. It wasn't until I got older and I started doing research, I realized, oh, you have to eat healthier to not get these bad cramps. But point of the matter is, um, I feel like birth control damages a lot of Black women's reproductive systems. And I think that that's why sometimes um, we face such problems when it comes to childbirth. Because I look at like my grandmothers, for example. One of my grandmothers had 14 kids. She didn't have any miscarriages that I know about, but she did have one stillborn. So she had 14, but technically it was like 13 because one of them was a stillborn. It was actually a twin, and one of the twins was a stillborn. So that's the only complication she had. My other grandmother did have, um, she had like just a couple, she had 5 kids that came, but she had a couple miscarriages, and that was actually due to the work that she was doing. So she was stressing her body too much during the pregnancy, which is why she had those miscarriages, at least according to the questions that I asked. So it's really not normal for people to be going through all these pregnancy complications if you're healthy going in, and you haven't been on birth control and stuff like that. Normally you'll have like a safe and proper pregnancy. I think birth control affects, like I said, a lot of Black women. I think um, we as Black people need to get off that shit. And not just Black people, I just think people in general, because I've heard white women also complain about birth control, but not to the extent that I, probably because I'm around more Black people. But I've not heard them complain to the extent that Black people do. But yeah, get off birth control. The amount of hormonal issues I've heard about, and how it messes with them and all these things, I'm just like, I've never had those issues, and probably because I've never been on it. So I don't know. And also it messes with your sex drive too. So yeah, birth control messes with your sex drive, y'all. Like, that's something I learned a few months ago. I didn't even know that when I made the decision not to ever go on it. It was more so about reproduction, why I never wanted to go on it. But then I learned that some people actually lose their sex drive because of birth control, and there was actually a study done on it. So yeah, the fact that they're trying to, like, they're talking about revisiting laws on contraceptions after this whole Roe versus Wade overturn. I'm not surprised that they're all of a sudden looking at contraception, whatever, contraceptives laws. It's like, it kind of makes sense because it's like those contraceptives really do mess with people. And most people are not researching this stuff, they're just putting whatever. Like, whenever a doctor tells me to do something, best believe I'm going on the internet and I'm looking at what it is, because you're not about to mess me up. I'm as healthy as a 20 something year old can be. I'm as healthy as can be. You are not about to mess up my body. Like, that's just something I tell myself. So these doctors are not about to mess with me. But yeah, the whole Roe versus Wade thing is it's very unfortunate. Very, very, very unfortunate that it was overturned, because I think other things are gonna get overturned, and I think that's why more so I looked into it, because I was just like, if they can tell people you must have a child if you get, if you have sex and happen to get pregnant, if they can tell a woman she must go through labor, then they can tell us anything. They can tell us, we don't have to pay you if you work for us. They could tell us that. They could tell us anything. And I think there's a lot of people who, are quiet about it or whatever, and not realizing, what the hell is he doing? Y'all, I got this pool view, and I don't know what the hell this man. I should video that. What is he doing outside? He's in the jacuzzi, and sorry, y'all. I'm gonna record this because what the fuck is he? I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know what the hell that man is doing in the jacuzzi. It's so funny. Oh my god! Like, maybe I'll slip that into the video. I got a recording of it. I don't know what he's out there doing. I don't know if he's exercising or what, but he is looking crazy out there in that jacuzzi. And it's hot as hell outside. I don't know what he's doing in a jacuzzi. But, anyways, yeah, like I was saying, if they can overturn Roe versus Wade, they can overturn a lot of things. There was one, I know I was talking about the Supreme Court judges or whatever, justices or whatever they call themselves. And there's 9 of them. There's one black man. He's the only black person. And he voted to overturn the law, but he's married to a white woman. So my thing was, okay, what if they overturn the laws against interracial marriages? Like, what will he do? Like, like if they can overturn something like this, what else can they overturn? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think people are really thinking on that level. Like, some people are just looking at it as, oh, abortions, you can no longer have an abortion or whatever the case may be, which I don't know why you care about. If you weren't having sex with her, I don't know why you care about her having an abortion. But that's pretty much where we're at, like, where I'm just like, what else can they do? And again, let me point out though that Roe versus Wade is not necessarily a law. It's really a ruling where the states couldn't make laws against abortions. So just in case I didn't make that clear in the beginning, I don't remember. The states now have the power to do that. I was telling you earlier, they had those trigger laws where they were able to enact abortion laws after the Roe versus Wade was overturned. So now states have the power. I imagine that liberal states are not gonna agree with any of the Roe versus Wade stuff. I don't think liberal states are gonna do that because they're gonna lose their votes, and sadly, it might become more conservative. People are gonna vote for people in the liberal states, at least. People are gonna vote for people who are pro-choice more than anything else. So, there's been a battle against abortions for the longest. Um, and it could, some people were saying it's an attack on feminism. And it could be, it probably is. Because, a lot of women believe in feminist women, or believe in their sexual freedom and all those things. And I mean, they're fighting back against men. And I don't blame them for fighting back. Let me put it this way, because there's a lot of men who still view women as property. It's just the truth. There's men out there that view women as property. So I don't necessarily blame them for how they're going about certain things, but at the same time, um, how some feminists go about certain things is not how I would go about it. I think there's better ways to go about things than um, letting your body go. If that's how you want to do it, then that's your way of doing it. But I think there's better ways than putting your body on the line in a sexual way. And there's a lot of feminists, like the extreme ones especially. Let me put it this way, because I don't necessarily think feminism is bad. I think it's the extreme ones that can be more of the issue for most people, because I think most women in modern times are feminists to a certain extent, but I don't think mo- most are extreme feminists. I think there's definitely a difference. And I think we're just now at a place where we'll see how things go. I think it's we'll see how it goes. I have to see what happens after this. Like, what else are they gonna try to overturn? I believe they talk about contraception. They talk about gay rights. They talk about overturning gay rights. Sorry, y'all. I was trying to pull up. I don't want to misquote. Um, oh yeah. So the black guy on the Supreme Court, Thomas, what's his name? Clarence Thomas is his name, and he called for overturning the constitutional rights the courts had affirmed for access to contraceptives and LGBT rights. Um, when he was talking about Roe versus Wade. So I really don't understand why he's trying to overturn contraceptives. I mean, okay, I get it. You feel like, okay, the baby is in your stomach. You don't want people to abort the baby. Cool, if that's his opinion, right? But why are you trying to overturn contraceptives? Why are you trying to overturn certain LGBT rights? Like, how is it, what is it doing to you? Is, I guess, it's my opinion. Like, I mean, I might not be gay or and stuff like that, but like, I don't have a right to tell people they shouldn't love someone of the same sex. Like, I don't have the right to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have the right to tell them who they should love. So it's like, why are you trying to overturn those things? If people are trying to take preventative measures such as condoms and birth control to not have kids, why are you trying to overturn that? You've already overturned the ruling so that, states couldn't issue abortion laws. So it's like, why are you trying to go so much further with things? Like, I think he's questionable because he's in an interracial marriage. So what if the other people, there's 8 more white people that's on the Supreme Court, if they say, well, okay, we want to overturn interracial marriages, because I mean they had to go to court to have interracial marriages become a thing, right? So it's like, what if, you know, you're on the Supreme Court in your interracial marriage? What if the other judges say, okay, now we want to overturn interracial marriages? Are you still gonna be against contraceptives and LGBT rights? You know what I'm saying? Like, so, um, yeah, I don't know why some of these people are on the Supreme Court. To be quite honest, I didn't do that much research on them. There's 9 people that make up the Supreme Court, and they're very old. I kid you not. One of the men, the old white man, he's like 90. He's like 90 or something. So I don't know why he's in the Supreme Court. Um, one second. I'm trying to see. Like these men are very old. They're very old. I don't know why some of these people are on the Supreme Court. So yeah, the youngest person on the Supreme Court is 50 years old. It's a woman. There's one more woman on the Supreme Court, and she's 62. I think those ages are fairly acceptable. I think those ages are acceptable. So the other people is Clarence Thomas. That's the black guy. He's 74. You have Kentanji Jackson. He's 51. I don't think that's so bad. I think it's okay to be in the Supreme Court up to 60, 65. I think that's okay, because I think that I don't think people who are like super super old should be on there. Oh, okay. I guess the one guy I thought that was 90, he's not on the Supreme Court anymore. My bad. John Roberts, he's 67. Wait, when did they? Yeah, this is this year. Never mind. And Samuel Alito, he's 72. I think that's too old. Sonia Sotomayor, she's 68. Elena Kagan, she's 62. Neil Gorsuch, she's 54. Um, Brett Kavanaugh, he's 57. And Amy, she's 50. I think the ones who are like 50 to 60, I think that those are acceptable. I just feel like once you start getting to 70 and stuff, like you really shouldn't be on the Supreme Court. Like I think you should be retired, because I mean, in the US, when you look at things, it's like once you get to a certain age, they don't even want you to like work and shit. Like they start discriminating against you for work. So to me, it's like, if you would discriminate about against those people, then it's just like, why would you why would you why would you want them to be making laws for you? You know what I'm saying? Like, we need people under 60 to be um making votes on this. And I don't think men should have a vote on women's bodies. I want to bring up one other thing I saw a lot, and I've known men who personally went through this, where um, their girl or whoever they were dating got pregnant, and they didn't want the person to have an abortion, but the person went ahead and have an abortion anyway. And those men were hurt, and I feel for those men. I really do. Like, I really really do feel for them. It's been guys that I personally know that went through this, and I feel for them. I really do. But when a woman is making a decision like that, we live in a man's world. I'm gonna be honest with you. We do. I've observed the world for a long time. I've lived in different places. I've lived in a whole nother country, right? I grew up in the hood of another country, and then I've been out here in LA. I've been around the rich people. I've lived in 3 different states, in 3 different areas, um, 3 different popular areas at that. So I've seen the differences of the world, and it's just really not built for a woman. You have to be a strong woman to survive out here, like, and thrive out here. Like, you really have to be, because the world is not built for us. Like, how the world is currently set up, it's not set up for a woman to really win unless you figure out your own way. Like, you have to be a smart woman to figure out your own way to win, because it's not set up for us. And so, when I've spoken to men who are hurt by women having abortion, of course, I sympathize with them, because me being the type of person where I'm like, I couldn't see myself having an abortion unless I was raped. Um, because it would hurt me so much. I imagine that to some capacity it hurts those men as well. So I totally understand why they would be hurt by women having abortions. But what I've also told those men is that at the end of the day, we live in a man's world. And when a woman is making a decision like that, at the end of the day, she's trying to protect herself. Because if you look at the media and the internet, when you're a baby mama, like, you get talked about a certain way. It's very fucked up. Excuse my French, I'm sorry. It's very messed up, but it's just the world that we live in. Like, it's not really built in a way that women can, it's not built in a way where women can feel safe and protected. So if a woman feel like having a child at that point in her life is going to be detrimental to her life, and even if the dad says, okay, he doesn't want her to have the abortion, at the end of the day, she's the one that's going to have to live with the repercussion. Because how the world is set up, at least how America is set up, it's set up in a way where men can, like, walk away from their kids. Like, I've seen situations where men stop working just so they don't have to pay child support. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's dudes like that out here. So it's like, if a woman feels like having an abortion is going to protect her, um, or be in her best interest, I can't blame her for that. Like, you can't really blame her for that. Whether you agree with abortions or not for your own personal self, I'll keep reiterating. I personally couldn't go through with something like that, but I understand why women do it, and I'm not mad at any woman for, like, doing it, if that makes sense. Um, that's just how I feel about it. But I've talked to men about it, who there's men who are happy about the overturning of the Roe versus Wade, because they feel like maybe their kid would be alive if Roe, if their particular state had abortion laws. So I sympathize with them, but at the same time, it's like, I also understand where women are coming from. So it's really a hard place to be. I think the best bet that people can do is try your hardest to just make sure that, if you're having sex with someone, that you're comfortable having a child with them. If you don't want to have a child, try to get your tubes tied, try to use protection, try to use whatever contraceptives that you're comfortable with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't tell someone to get on birth control because I'm kind of anti birth control, but I think it messes you up. That's just my honest opinion on birth controls. But if you feel comfortable getting on it and you feel like it will protect you, if you're really against having kids and you think it will protect you, then you should do that. So uh, that's how I think about this whole Roe versus Wade and how certain men feel about it. Like, I get that some men, like some women were upset that a lot of men weren't speaking out about it on social media, and I've noticed that it's mostly women speaking out against it. Um, it's mostly women speaking out against it, and I think it's because a lot of men are just kind of like, one, I don't think a lot of men realize that so many women were having abortions. It's a lot of women that have at least had one abortion. It's very rare to find like people like myself who hasn't had one. And I will never say never because, like I said, if I was raped, I'm not having a rape baby. So I sure will be finding an abortion clinic because I'm not having a rape baby. No, I'm not doing that. But if there's a lot of women who's went through that and had to have an abortion, so I don't think men were realizing those things because a lot of rapes don't get reported or they don't get convicted. A lot of rapists don't get reported or convicted. So um, most men wouldn't understand that some women are having to have abortions because of that. um, And for the ones who are just out here having reckless sex, it's just like, do you want someone who's irresponsible having kids? Like, do you really want them having kids when they're already being irresponsible? I don't think so. If you're very so pro-life, go look at the kids in the foster care system. It's 500,000 kids in foster care, and I don't see anyone speaking up for them. If you're pro-life, like, why are you not speaking up for kids in foster care? A lot of those kids in the foster care system was due to the parents not being ready for them, not wanting them, whatever the case may be. So it's like, what are you doing to help those kids? And I think that's where pro-lifers kind of bother me a little bit. um, I guess some people would say I'm pro-life in a sense because I wouldn't personally have an abortion, but at the same time, I guess I'm pro-choice because I don't give a damn what another woman does with her body. Like, listen, I've told y'all about my horrible period cramps, and I could understand a woman not wanting to go through childbirth because I've had several women tell me that period cramps are less painful than childbirth. When you tell me that, I'm looking like, what the hell? Because I've had in the past like really, really bad period cramps. So if I was to go through that again, like in childbirth, I could understand why some women would be psyched out about putting their bodies through that because it's very painful. Like, and men will never be able to understand this. That's why they shouldn't have a vote. Like, you'll never understand the pain a woman goes through with her period or with pregnancy, with anything. You'll never be able to understand it. So for you to say you have a vote on whether or not she has to go through it is a messed up thing. But it's where we're at, and I'm interested. Like I said earlier, like, I'm very interested to see what they're gonna do next. Like, I'm gonna pay attention to see what they do next. I think that's the one of the more important things, because for right now, I think in liberal states, abortion laws are very much safe. um like, being able to have abortions are safe. I think that once I don't know, like, let me put it this way, how those government officials and stuff work. They always do something for a reason, so it's possible they overturn this to see how badly people will react. I was reading something that says the Supreme Court justices had to go into hiding because of this vote. Like, they went into hiding, the ones that voted to overturn it. um the ones that voted to overturn it went into hiding. So I'm very interested to see what they do next. As far as the laws go, I'm very interested to see if they're gonna try to overturn other things, because I almost feel like this was a test dummy, because they know that the liberal states like California is not gonna enact abortion rules anyway, so people are gonna be able to come to like California and have their abortion if they want to. So I don't know that this was really about abortion laws as much as it's about seeing what else they can overturn. So I think this is something we are going to have to look at going forward. And, I'm interested to see if you have any comments. If you didn't want to, I know some people don't like to talk about these things on a live chat or whatever, because you don't want to deal with other people's opinions. But you can message me on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. I'm on Twitter now, so you can message me your thoughts on the topic and whatever the case may be. Oh, hi, Darren. I'm interested. Yeah, I'm gonna do these lives more often. I had and even collabs I have coming up in the future. I have a collab coming up next week, but we already pre-recorded it, so it's not gonna be live. But any other collabs I have going forward, I'm gonna do them live. That way, you guys will be able to interact if you wanted to. Because I was getting a lot of feedbacks from my collabs, and people were like, "You should go live so that people could interact and have a discussion if they wanted to." So I said, okay. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens next with these abortion laws, and not just the abortion laws, but what other laws they're gonna try to reverse, and where this takes us. I was reading something that says we might be heading into a civil war, so I need to go ahead and stop delaying my gun license, because I sure as heck ain't gonna be nobody's slave. So we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, I really want to thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you have any comments, let me know. If you want to message it, feel free to do so. And I'll do more lives in the future if you want to join and whatnot. And yeah, so I want to thank you guys so much for watching once more, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. I need to figure out this streaming stuff, because I legit have no idea how this streaming stuff really works. I tried to go stream on Facebook one time, and that went like horribly bad. I think it's whenever I schedule the streams, it doesn't go correctly, but like whenever I just go live, then I guess it works. So I have to figure out how the scheduling of streams go. But anyways, let me know what you have to say, and I will see you on my next video.